Hi, thank you so much for connecting with us on OTT Play. It's a pleasure to have you all on call with us.
Pleasure is all
It's a
us.
pleasure
Thank you.
to be here.
Thanks, Akhila, for having us.
Thank you. So I saw the trailer of Uljhe Hue. It looks really very interesting. And I believe it tells a simple story of a regular person, regular person's dating life. So Mr. Satish, could you tell us a bit about the movie and what the audience can expect?
I think they can expect like a nice, refreshing, modern romance, a take onto interesting characters played by Sanjana and Abhay, who represent the young adults of today, like people who are practical, who are working, who are focused in their careers, their passion, but at the same time there is something that's happening deep down in their hearts. So how are they managing that in the huge uh, the complexity of relationship and lives that we all are actually witnessing, not just as young adults, but especially in young adults, like the kind of complexities they are kind of going through. So within that, how do they simply find a solution by opening up their hearts? So it's actually a very simple story about complication. Yeah.
Wow. That's a nice way to put it, I guess. It's a simple story about complications.
Yeah.
So, Miss Sanjana and Abhay, could you tell us a bit about your characters and was it actually complicated to play them?
It wasn't any more complicated than living the life that we do in our 20s today. It's, life, we try and make it simple, but if we're honest to ourselves, it is pretty complicated. So for me, at least personally, getting into Rasika was like relating to just another girl in my time, and almost feeling like she shares so much of what I share internally, so many confusions and inhibitions and desires that she carries with herself. And she can't articulate them, she's not able to express them. And I used to feel the same with myself, that I can't articulate everything that I'm feeling. That's why I became an actor, because I uh, kind of try and express that through my work and through my performances. So playing her has been liberating. It's really been cathartic. I've enjoyed it a lot.
Okay. And Mr. Abhay, could you tell us a bit about your experience with the film?
Yeah, the experience was fascinating and eye-opening, because Varun is a character who is a lot not like me. He's a guy who's a lawyer, and he tends to live in a certain way. He's very bound to timing, that he'll meet for a certain person for a limited time only. He sets the alarm clock accordingly. So that is what which is not me. And that itself actually makes the creative process more fascinating, that you tend to just not do the usual thing which you do. And that is where those are the boundaries which you have to cross as an actor. So it was a very it was a it was a fantastic experience, experiencing Varun, experiencing the psychology of a lawyer. And of course, I was fortunate enough, Satish sir and me, we sat together and we discussed about Varun and the film, and all the things which Varun can do or cannot do, shouldn't do, should not do, and which made it really easy for me to portray that. But it was a good process. It was a fun learning process.
Okay. So, since it's a short film, did you two find any limitations when it comes to exploring your character in depth and or in the scope of your performance?
Uh, Not really, actually. Short film or doesn't comes in the way of creativity. It doesn't matters what you're shooting for. If it's of course it does matters, but the duration shouldn't matter, because ultimately it's you and your craft and your process. You have to just dive into it, whether it's shorter format or longer format. It's the work is work. and you should have high regards and respect for it, as same as you do in a feature film or a shorter film or an ad, whatever little or whatever big what you can do. Big and short is just a perception which people have created, I believe, Akila. It's all the same. I mean, the work is important in whichever way you do. And Sanjana, I think, being a fantastic actor, also agrees to this thing. I think so.
What do you have to say, Miss
Yeah.
Anu?
No, I do. I totally agree. I had expected it to be a bit different. Hadn't ever done a short format before. Um, like at some point I remember thinking कि बहुत ज़्यादा acting बहुत जल्दी करनी पड़ेगी type of thing.
Okay.
But that's not what happens. It's I almost felt like we've found Rasika and Varun enough that we can maybe tell a longer story. Um, but then you have to not be greedy and just be happy with the crunched tale that you're telling. So it's as satisfying as a long format. It takes lesser from you in a way, so it's more rewarding, I feel. Yeah, it's a blast. It's really fun.
Okay. And I guess that's because of the way it is written and packaged as well. So, Mr. Satish, was it a challenging process? How did you manage to tell this simple story of complications in a short format?
Because I didn't have too much time to make this. Had I had a lot of time, months to think about it, ponder, and I would have screwed up. Like sometimes overthinking, kind of reworking and doing so many things and wanting to do so many things can spoil your broth. It's somewhat like that. So I think the crunch time and the speed at which we kind of managed to come together as a team and pulled off everything, and now we are uh, yet just releasing in 2 days. That was like a phenomenal speed, I feel, in terms of filmmaking, like even in long formats and all. So I think that kind of helped put my thoughts straight, clear. Otherwise, creative minds kind of tend to wanting this also and that also. The set could have been better, this could have been better, all of those things. I didn't have the luxury to do that, actually. So so after watching the edit, I was like, thank God, Satish, you didn't have that luxury.
Right. That's a good feeling to have.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, to give you perspective, we actually only shot this not even 2 months ago, and
Yeah,
we're releasing it now. So it's
yeah.
it's unbelievable, the turnaround speed of our whole journey
But I think I would
together.
give a
Yeah.
lot of credit to Sanjana and Abhay for with the short time. Like Abhay, still I had like few days before the shoot, but with Sanjana, because she was shooting, she was traveling, so we were like talking on and off, small things about the character, and I sensed in my first call with Sanjana that she's got the character. Just the excitement through the phone call gave me that confidence that okay, now I can focus on everything else. And exactly that's what happened. Like on set also, both of them were like so prepared, so that I didn't have to kind of worry about performance. That was the biggest confidence that any director can get. When your actors are kind of performing so well, and you are then becoming little greedy of let's that part, that moment, your eyes, then you do that. But that was also, like, I think, very very interesting, like these small details that Sanjana and Abhay kind of brought during rehearsals, and these small things that added a lot of flavor. While watching the edit, I realized that these were not there in the script. It's like, sometimes Sanjana would come up to me and say that, listen, should we do this? How would it be? And then Abhay would like, yeah, this looks. So it's like so the kind of jamming session I was looking at, like usually what I do with the actors during workshops, I actually got to do that just before the scene, just before taking the scene. So imagine that's the kind of time we had, and I think we all were in sync with the character, with the story, with everything that was happening. So it kind of happened very organically, and when everybody is in sync and everybody is enjoying that moment, for me, that's an okay take. You know, it's like everybody is kind of vibing with it, so that's nice. So let's go with that. So I think we did a lot of these small things in the film which are there, like when you
Okay.
leave that jacket and go and come back.
Yeah, correct.
That is the cutest moment of the film. cute. So small things. Abhay doing
Yeah.
these छोटे छोटे चीज. So I think yeah, these are the small moments that actually makes a perfect film into a memorable film. That's what I feel. Like you can have a very great story script, you would have written a great screenplay, but till the time these personal attributes of actors don't come in, you don't personalize the characters so much. So these are the small things that makes you remember Rasika, makes you remember Varun. So I'm
Okay.
so glad that I had the opportunity of working with these two really talented young guns. That's it.
Young
Okay.
guns.
Thank you guys
Uh,
so much.
so you have earlier worked on a short film in 2016, Shor Se Shuruaat.
Yeah,
I believe back then the short films weren't consumed widely for entertainment purposes. And now with OTT, there are many short films coming up. So do you see the trend changing? What do you have to say about that?
absolutely. In fact, back in 2016, I had a lot of faith in short format. So, in fact, we were probably one of the first people to come up with an anthology back in 2016. So now, look at 2019 and 20, OTT platforms were filled with anthologies.
Right.
So back then in 2016, also it was very difficult to convince people, like to watch a film which has 7 short films in it, like an anthology. So that idea in itself had not grown. But somewhere deep down, back then also, I knew that short formats are something which are very interesting. Actually, you can say so many things in that same time. Why not? And actually, telling a short film is way more challenging than a feature film,
Yeah.
because you
Okay.
have to tell pretty much, like if
Right.
need be, we could have stretched Uljhe Hue to a feature. Like if you put your mind, you can write it into a feature, and you might have the tendency also, like to make it into a feature. But then it is so challenging to compress it in a short film, and bringing the characters out, each scene out, and then the story progression, all of that. It's a lot for a 20-minute actually. So it is
Yeah.
really very challenging to tell a story in a shorter format. And I kind of like that kind of challenge in terms of, like, okay, how do I do this now? How do I not get excited to make this into a feature and screw it up? So, so yeah. So I personally like short format content as a creator, as somebody, like I believe in the format, and I see that in couple of years we will be, like, watching a lot of short format content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you also see people preferring to short format more now that people are actually back to kind of a pre-lockdown time when and we do not have much time and people usually prefer to watch something, say over lunch in a snackable format, and even the feature film length has reduced. It earlier used to
Reduced.
be 3 hours and now 2.5, 2 hours. So do you see that reducing and probably shorter formats being more preferred than features?
Absolutely, shorter formats are being preferred, but nonetheless, feature films are not going to die ever. They are the, so to say, the soul of cinema. So that's not going anywhere. Yeah, absolutely, it's correct that it's the length. Initially, like, it used to be 3 hours, then it moved to 2 hours 20 minutes. So a lot of mathematics also comes in play with theaters. 2 hours 20 minutes is supposed to be the perfect timing to have the best number of shows in a day. So which is why filmmakers are forced to make a film under 2 hours 20 minutes. Now that is kind of diminishing also. But if you look at Western films, they tell such same brilliant stories in 1.5 hours, 1 hour 40
Yeah.
minutes. So the reason being that they keep it tight, and also in Indian cinema we have a lot of music, song, we celebrate that. So which is why our lengths differ a lot. In a film, if you have, like, say, 4 songs, so 20 minutes there, you know.
Yeah.
So short format, in terms of, as a format, like a 20-25 minutes kind of snackable content, is the future for sure. But at the same time, I think even feature film lengths are going to reduce to an hour and a half. In fact, the one that I'm working on right now, I'm hoping to make it under 1 hour 45 minutes. So that's a
Oh,
challenge, because I see that, like, the shorter you are, the crisper your story also becomes, and you won't mind seeing a feature length film in 1.5 hours, 1 hour 40 minutes, rather than spending 2.5 hours. In terms of,
Yeah.
because you'll be consuming the same story. What is the point of holding you on for another 45 minutes or an hour?
Okay.
So I think this is going to be a new norm, kind of a, say, like, making it under 2 hours, under 1 hour 45 minutes. Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Abhay and Ms. Sanjana, what are your thoughts on it? And as viewers, do you also prefer to watch uh, films of lesser duration?
For me, I personally think that it's just like the time of homogenization. I just feel like we're living in a time where there's space for everything. For the first time in entertainment, it's like a tectonic shift, where it's not about it's finally about the stories, and each story is finding its perfect groove. Family Man, for example, could have never been told as a feature. It needed the length. um a film that I've just completed, Om, I can't imagine it. I feel that I'll be heartbroken if I see it on a small screen, because we've created a fantasy action thriller. So it needs that scale of the theatrical. And Uljhe Hue, it has found its perfect home in this 20-21 minute format. So I feel that that's the place where everything is going to find its groove. And there's an audience for everything. And I personally consume short formats a lot, because I am impatient. And if I start watching stuff, then it's a dark black hole where like days just get swallowed into themselves. So I have to protect myself and just watch like smaller stuff. So I'm a huge consumer of short films.
Okay. What about you, Mr. Abhay?
I think people have evolved to just focusing on the story and the crux of the film more than what they are, what people are in, and what all the other factors which are included in filmmaking. I think people, and that's for the best. Actually, the story should be the father of the film, should be the captain of the ship. Because that is what makes the story. It should reach you. The reason जिसकी वजह से हम film बना रहे हैं, that should reach you, that should touch your heart, and that should always should be in the first priority. And as far as duration is concerned, I think I I I I'm not I'm not the right person to ask the duration of the films. But what I believe in is that duration shouldn't be a factor. If a story, we can tell a story in 45 minutes, so let that story be of the duration of that. And if a story, if a film like Godfather, it has to take, I mean, 2.5 or more than that to just tell the story. It basically depends on the genre and all the things also. But if a story like that has to be conveyed in 2.5 hours, then I mean, people have to take time. Or something like Irishman, which was of 3 hours or more than that, a little more than that. So people have to take out their time accordingly and do that. But yes, for that matter, we can't neglect that shorter formats can be in the run now, because people merely get half an hour when they're on the bed. I mean, when they're signing off for the day, and just tend to slumber. It's just half an hour of that what people can actually see and complete a story. So that can come in a big way.
Okay. So have you guys tried online dating where you the ones who ghost the date, or is it the other way around?
I haven't tried, honestly. I am a bit old school, as my character is Varun. So I haven't tried online dating. But yeah, as far as the ghosting part is concerned, we've been talking about since a while. But yeah, it goes to my schooling days and my tuition days, where you kind of meet the same people. And the ghosting has only happened when some of the other parents have caught their phone with text. So that's all that has happened to me. Those are the silly things which has happened.
Okay.
I
What
prefer,
about
I prefer to meet a person in person and just connect organically, slowly, gradually, and just be part of each other's lives.
so what is your idea of perfect date?
My idea of perfect date,
Yeah.
uh, I don't know actually. The perfect date. I mean, it's just meeting. I believe in finding a perfect partner for myself, so that every day is a perfect day. And yeah, why to have a single day as a perfect day? Rather, if you can have a perfect life with a perfect partner.
Okay. Miss Sanjana, would you like to share your thoughts? How has your experience been? Have you tried online dating too?
I haven't. To be honest, it's not easy for us. I can't imagine just getting onto a dating app. I don't think that would be a great idea at this point. Uh, but I've seen tons of my friends today, like almost getting engaged, wanting to spend the rest of their lives together and having met on dating apps. And I've seen amazing friendships coming out of them, even if stuff doesn't work out romantically. So I believe in them. I think they're very, very powerful and they're just a part of our generation now and our culture. Um, so yeah, I'm a huge proponent, but maybe like I can anonymously get on them and see what things are like. But yeah, I haven't used one myself.